Hi, everybody. Welcome to NLL Lacrosse Talk. I'm Gary Groob. With me this week, I have a special guest with me. I have Sean Gillies, who's the Ottawa Black Bears Director of Scouting and Player Development, as well as the Burlington Blaze GM. Sean, it's great to have you on the show.
Hey, great to be here, Gary. Thanks for having me.
First question we ask everybody always is, what made you pick up a stick?
Yeah, for sure. So I started pretty young. I think I was just three and a half. So my dad was a hockey, lacrosse, and football guy out of Clarkson. And, back in those days, Mississauga was a big hotbed there. So, that's who kind of, got me into the game was my old man.
What kept you in the game?
Yeah, I was a hockey lacrosse guy all the way up, but I didn't start playing hockey till I was about 5.5, 6. I just enjoyed it. My early memories. I started in house league in Mississauga, and then Tyke 1. We were in Oakville. I was part of the Robbie McDougall. He was my coach all the way up, and we just had a great group of guys, and it was just something fun about it. Getting to the rink the summer. He made it very fun in those early years too, where. So just the whole thing, we got suited up all in we had those Jofa bubble helmets, those white ones. And, I remember we always looked really good. We had, matching sneakers and all that fun stuff. So it was just a really good group, and I just really enjoyed the game.
I'm a little older than you, and I remember having the old Cooper helmet and the couple of pieces and the chin guard. And I remember those days well. Those are frightening now to think about it too. Because mine goes all the way back to Howie Meeker's hockey camp, and one of the off-ice activities was lacrosse, and right away I fell in love with it, and the rest they say is history.
Fantastic.
Who was really your first mentor that helped get you in the right direction?
Yeah, I think like I said, my dad is you'll hear me mention that a lot. He was very. He only coached us 1 year. He had my brother's team, who's 3 years younger, and he coached him all the way up. But, very involved with lacrosse and the development. We were going to the Clarkson box because I lived right beside it, and then, me, him, and my brother would go there at least once a weekend, firing balls, and just, it was really a great bonding experience for that. And then, Robbie was a big part of that core group in '88, right? And Danny McRae, there's a whole list of guys that I'm still friends with, and we had a couple of coaches come in, like Courtney with Troy was in there for a bit too and had us, but we had they were really great in those early years, helping form us and keeping the team together.
Right, sure. Now, during school, you were still playing. The one that stood out to me was going to the Albany Academy in grade 12 and really getting into varsity lacrosse there. That's when things really got serious, I think.
Yeah, so, there wasn't Edge Lacrosse and those other programs. They started actually the year after, the '89. So like Jordan McIntosh, Creppy, a bunch of those guys. So kind of the only way to get down to the US, and that was something that I wanted to do, was to go to prep school. So that was something I looked at early in grade 9. I tried to look at it, and there was a couple teams or a couple schools. There was a team down in or school down in Philly that I looked at. But I was still playing hockey pretty seriously up here. So, grade 12, I made a decision. Me and my folks, we got in a car and I went and I remember staying in like Red Roof Inns, and we went to all these schools, and, some of them, they were absolutely like the Hotchkiss school. And some of these were really next level. Ex-presidents went to, right? And I had to do different, applications and trying to see, what else do I do? I was pretty decent in school, so my marks were all right, but some of them were pretty impressive. And so I got into a couple, but again, the financial packages had to make sense too. So Albany was a good fit. It was a smaller school, and the dorm program only had about 18 people. It was mostly a day school. And within our dorm, so my two roommates were from Hamilton, both on the hockey team. And then we had like a 20-year-old from Ukraine, two guys from Serbia, Hong Kong, and there was like a royalty guy from Portugal. A couple French Canadian guys, one from Montreal, one from Quebec City, who they hated each other. And then so it was a really mixed bag of people in this. And I think about 7 of them were hockey, and I played prep hockey down there as well. And then I was the only lacrosse guy. So yeah, it was a decision to kind of get a little bit more aligned with my studies, take things a little bit more seriously. And in the end goal to get me to a good school for college.
Well, you must have really developed your field program because you're a box player, and to be able to get into the Rochester Institute of Technology and do 4 years on their lacrosse squad, that has to be a real feather in your cap, because that's not everybody getting in on that one. So your game must have taken big prep school stuff.
Yeah, I laughed. We played against was not being a powerhouse at the time. Like the Lavals went there. Speech was there. Who ended up going to Elmira. But again, we weren't a big, bringing in like a Deerfield or a Salisbury where you got guys coming in. So our first game we played Suffield Academy, and I think we won like 7-2. I think I had 5. And I'm like, this is great. I'm going to light this prep league up. And it was a very humbling experience, playing against these monsters where, we're getting beat 15-2, 15-3. And, so I had to go against some really, really tough competition. But a lot, hey, it was a great learning curve. It wasn't always fun. These long bus trips are going to different, but it helped me, go against the best and, improve, drastically in my field game. But yeah, I was primarily box player, right? We did a little field in the, once we got to Bantam, we started to do it in the spring. And then I played a little bit of under 19, but I was actually a pole when I was playing that one. At 16, 17, I was playing long pole. So yeah, started to figure it out. The hands got a little bit softer. Can't say the same now, but
I would suggest though that being the typical Canadian playing field is we're playing box on field, is to get used to being blueprinted of all these set plays when you're used to going by feel, and that had to be a real eye-opening experience, and probably helped your box game as well.
Yeah, for sure. I played a lot of inside. That's kind of where I wasn't a big dodger. I didn't have a very heavy shot. So learning how to play inside off ball, and getting in the middle and just catching and finishing right. That seemed to be, where I found success, and that carried with me to, RIT, where we played a typical, 1-3-1. I'll be the middle guy, or if we were or I might be the wing guy, but yeah, that definitely helped my off ball and my foot, my movement and stuff like that, recognizing that, trying to get around some big, nasty poles. So yeah, for sure.
Let's go back a little bit into the Orangeville program where you played junior. Story program. What in your eyes, well, now obviously you're with Burlington, so that would be a bigger thing, but what in your eyes was so important about the Orangeville experience as opposed to some of the other ones like Brampton, like Peterborough, like Brooklyn or Whitby or all the rest of the stuff? What set Orangeville so far apart that they were so successful even to this day?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's definitely, we've been going against each other now for the past 8 years as I've been coaching and GMing. But yeah, a lot of familiar faces, a lot of ex-coaches, ex-teammates on the other side of that. but yeah, my experience in Orangeville, I can't say enough about it. I left after playing my midget year in my first year with the Buzz. We fell short to Alora, who ended up winning the Founders that year. They had a stacked team. Rooney, Marshall, Foley was my goalie at RIT. You name it. They had, and then a couple guys I ended up playing with in Orangeville as well. So yeah, I got an opportunity to go there, and it was tough because everyone was coming back. We were going to try to finish the job and win Founders for the first time with Oakville, right? And but at the time, Burlington and Mississauga, the two kind of feeding teams, were like 1-19 and 0-20, and it was kind of a strange time for lacrosse in our area, where if you were getting cut from the Buzz, you were going to play Mississauga. So it was. Anyways, I got the opportunity to go up there, and right away they took care of you. It was a real family oriented organization as far as the out of towners were treated really well. And I came up there. Jesse Gamble was one of the other towners, and then we had the Owen Sound guys. Matty McLeod was my age. We'd stay up in the weekend, and again, I'm a big believer of bleeding off the floor translates right into the to the dressing room, to the team atmosphere, right? And we were a really tight team. I had great guys, great teammates that families took care of me. Mikey Teat and Sutsy and Harney. Those guys, Glenn Bryant's family, they were all great. They were all really solid. I'm probably missing a few there, but they made sure that you were always taken care of. You had a place to stay, and we did everything together. And I'm a big believer of that was a component, that it brought us closer together, and we were able to, play the way we did. And it was also how we played as well. We played fast, and that hadn't happened in a long time, where sometimes we were running 3 lines up, 4 up every time, playing both sides of the floor. We were not a big team. I was one of the taller guys, I remember when we went out to Calgary for the first time for the Minto my 4th year, and they were like, we did the opening ceremonies, and the 2 Alberta teams and Victoria, like, they got some monsters. Look, it's like, this is Orangeville, right? But we ran like crazy, and Keo had a good fight too and put a guy down, so that also helped. We weren't the Sutsy was always in the corner, but we weren't always the biggest, but we definitely would play, and we give it our all, so.
Absolutely. Now you had a year in senior with Brooklyn, and with a mutual friend of ours with Wayne Colley as coach and GM. Talk about that. I just had Wayne on the Sunday show a couple of weeks back. We're talking about State of the Union and things that could be changed and should be tinkered with, and things that should be left alone. But what was it like working with him?
Yeah, it's definitely, seniors was definitely a bit different coming from junior. Brownell was drafted there as well, so we rode up together, and I'd known Brownie even though he was on Burlington. He was a rival growing up. We knew each other, and so we'd carpool out that way. And hey, it was a great experience. Sometimes the lineups weren't always the same, and so it was a different kind of feel to it in those early days. But we had some great players and some great veterans on there. Soupy Campbell, and then Hopcroft was there, and a couple of really great guys. And yeah, it was different for sure. But you know what? They took care of us. It was great. If we ever want to stay down at the Motel 6 there beside the arena, or going to what was the Legends after. So it was. It was fun, and we got to go against. That was the year Peterborough brought in Johnny T, and so we played against that superstar team. We ended up sweeping Kitchener. I think we won every game by a goal. So it's like we ended up playing them in this Peterborough in the semis. And what that was, I got John Grant coming down on me. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Right. And the men's center, I remember we went to the Canada Day game and it was sold out, and I'm like, holy shit, it's, it was definitely a cool opportunity to play against some of these guys at their peak, and we went down 3-0 and they addressed Laverty illegally. So all of a sudden, next thing you know, we're up 2-1 in the series. And it's like, and then we won the next one. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, because we're up 3-1, we can knock off. But then after that, it was, a very heavy skilled team. And yeah, it was ugly the next three. But hey, what a great opportunity to play against those guys and to play with Wayne and in a historic, organization like Brooklyn, right? So I had a great time.
Well, that's one of the things is it doesn't seem to matter how the programs are doing. Whenever Brooklyn and Peterborough get together, it's always, lights out games. And to this day, it's still the same that way. I was a little remiss. We were talking about Orangeville, and you won 2 Minnow Cups with them. Now, obviously, everybody talks about their first Minnow Cup. Do you have a favorite of the two?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my brother came up my last year. So he played his first year buzz and then came up. So that was a really cool experience, bringing him into that situation. We're riding up together and, he had his own crew on his team. They had younger guys, the Nobles and Critchie and D Ward and all those guys. But, being able to share that with them somewhere where I had 4 years of, was really cool. And then obviously to finish, he wasn't playing in those games, the last couple games there and in the Minto. And Damon Edwards got hurt. So he, we were playing game 3 against Brampton in the finals. And my brother got the nod to go in there. So I was able to close out junior, with my brother, winning a championship on the floor. What else can you ask for? So that was one of the coolest lacrosse experiences I've ever had. So that was probably, my favorite, but at the same time, Calgary was a lot of fun. The format back then was, we were there for 10 days. We only played 4 games because it was a round robin and it was a 1-game final. So you get a bye to the final. It was, that was going to Calgary and the whole experience. So we went out to like Lake Louise, and there's a funny picture of me, Cloudy and Keo in a canoe somewhere, but like, so it was, that whole thing, getting to travel, staying away, because you don't get to do that much anymore in the junior A. We used to, when Aquasasni was in, but and Ottawa was in my first year, but you don't really get that. You don't really go away, and you don't really, so that was definitely a cool experience as well. So they were both great, but yeah, I'd probably say the one with my brother was my favorite.
Frank, welcome to the show. Sean, Frank Stanisci, my co-host.
Hey, Sean, how you doing, bud?
Hey, Frank, not too bad. How are you doing?
Always love talking lacrosse. And I don't mind listening either.
Listen, we were talking about this, and you spent a lot of time in Senior B. And let's talk a little bit about that, because between Can-Am and Rochester, Pinewood, also the Oakville Titans, remember the Titans?
Yeah.
Sean Ferris and I always joke a little bit about that one. And
Yeah. So, like I was drafted by Toronto. That was a tough lineup to crack. Didn't work out. Was running with Rochester, and it just so. I wanted to keep playing. I was staying down in Rochester after RIT. I had got my OPT, so I was working there, working for a bar, and just staying down there. So started playing for the Grey Wolves. It was, it was a fun experience. But we played on the roller court, like that sport court or whatever. So that was kind of challenging. The bounce shots were a little different there, and the Can-Am league was pretty pretty rough as well. There was, a couple really cool arenas, like Smoke and Joe's had the outdoor facility, but then there was a couple, there was a couple tough locations to go to. And so the lacrosse was, it was fun though. I was playing with a lot of guys, whether I played with RIT, playing with Sean Wilkins, who was coaching RIT at that time. Was a Burlington guy. And so, we had a lot of fun with it. And then once I left, I moved back home. We tried to put a team together again, bring back a bunch of the old Oakville guys that were, my age, a little younger, and kind of put together, try to get a run going. So my dad hopped on the bench as well. So that was fun. So it was him, Mark White's dad, Mike White, and then Alex Krepp in second, Nick, the Kreppy's dad, Tony, was on there too. So it was fun, and there was still that rule that you were allowed to play junior or senior A and senior B before they kind of got rid of that. So my brother played a bit. He was playing both. It was great. We fell short. It's tough to get out of Ontario from senior B. And it's really tough. So I did that for a little bit and then hung them up, and I think I retired probably 5 or 6 times. And then the last one was Pinewood Smoke. So we had the Candyman. There was a lot of older vets on that team.
Right.
And Wilkie, and it was run by a motorcycle gang. So we had a good. My brother came up and played in that too. So we made a good go out of that. We tried. We lost in the finals to the Native Sons, who were pretty stacked. And I think that was the second or third time I tried to call it quits. But again, really cool getting to play with my brother again. There was a lot of St. Catharines guys that I played with in the Lock Monsters on that team. Dan Williams and a bunch of other guys. So it was a lot of fun. Bounced around a little bit in senior B, but like I said, it was a great experience.
For sure. Now it brings me actually to my Paul St. John chapter of our interview, and Frank, this should get your ears perked up. You and Paul know each other famously, but CLACs. This was my favorite incarnation of it. I loved the games. I loved going to them. I loved the style of it, and I love the semi-professional idea of it. It didn't catch on long enough for it really to grab traction. Talk about playing with Niagara, and talk about the league in general, especially Veltman as your commissioner, and again, Paul St. John being really a cutting-edge thinking forward to guys who aren't playing to keep the sticks in their hands.
Yeah, so I joined that. I think it was in its second year. So Jeff Dowling was head coach. And again, I had known JD just from all the years. And again, we've been involved with Ireland, and again with him running Hamilton. Been a lot of crossover. So they took a chance. First, I think I was coming out of a retirement again. So the style of play. Playing 2 ways, you have to be in shape. So the first year I played, I don't know if I played too much, but we were talented. Andrew Potter, again, in '88, he was one of the best to do it. I thought, when we were growing up, and he was playing pro at 18, 19 with Rochester. So we were a really highly skilled team. Fowler was another big contributor, but Dan Williams and again, we had a lot of the Niagara and the Lake St. Catharines guys, Lordy, so it was, Favero was our captain. So it was a cool experience to get. They took a chance on me again. I didn't play a whole lot the first year in it, getting back in shape and getting adjusted back to that 2 ways, but it was a great style of play. It was, you couldn't be a liability. You had to it was fast. You had to be talented on both sides of the floor. So it was a really fast-paced game, and so I really enjoyed it. And then the second year came back, I was playing it, and Yeah, we ended up winning it. So it was great. It was really cool experience. Again, that St. Catharines group is really a tight core. And I was friends with Potter and a few of the guys prior. And, they welcomed me in there. Very similar, again, how we were in Oakville, how we were in Orangeville, the crew that we had at RIT, really big family, right? And, we hang out on and off the floor, for better or for worse, but it made it a really fun group, and it doesn't always happen now with, with senior and, stuff like that, right? You get guys from all over. So, I'm a big believer that we try to, whatever we're doing, we like to make a family and everyone gets along, and it seems to win success. That recipe seems to work.
Absolutely. Now, you also were with Paul with the ALL, both as a player and as a coach. With Toronto. Talk about that. I've had a lot of guys on there, a lot of guys who've gone through there and actually made it into the NLL and swearing by the program. I, being the media guy for them, I swear by it myself. I think it teaches someone how to become a pro and stay a pro, and on and off the floor.
Yeah. So I got involved. I think this was this is the last time I came out of retirement. But Blaine McCauley, again, guy that I've known, I was battling against when he was in Halton, and my dad, and then, but we don't, we've always got along. So he took a chance, and we had a really cool group of guys when he took over the Toronto team. A lot of Halton, Orangeville, and then sprinkled in a little Mimico, a little Brampton and Oakville. And somehow it all worked. There was a lot of bad blood in that over the years. I mean, if you told us we were all 20 getting together, it wouldn't have worked.
Right.
Yeah, it was great. Again, we were playing some big arenas too. So the floors were big, and then, we fell short. I remember the first year we lost, was the Outlaw. McMichael scored one. I always see him reposting that, drives me crazy. I'm joking, but yeah, it was against the Outlaws, and it was when you had to play first and second got the bye to the semis. So we played Friday against a Rochester team or not Rochester, it was Six Nations, but a bunch of Rochester guys got reclassed, and we won that, and then we won Saturday, and Sunday we just fell short. But it was a really cool product. And again, I'm a believer in it as well. Been involved with it. Even up to last year, I was still helping out with the guys in Toronto. And it's, I think we've had 5 or 6 goalies go since I was playing in that. But yeah, it's a great league. If there was more teams, there would be more. That league would be having a lot of guys in that. And
I would also figure that it would be able to form it like an AHL, where NLL teams could actually have their own one, put their own coaches in, put their own development in there, keep their draft picks longer and develop them. And I think overall that would be much better for the NLL product.
100%. We tried to loosely do that. Again, trying to teach the same systems, and again, also with bringing guys in that are still junior eligible. We like to bring in our Burlington guys and stuff like that. And again, so we're playing the same stuff all year round, right? And again, it just helps guys develop more, and again, not getting into any bad habits or anything like that, right? So yeah, that would be great if the league can get to that, where it can naturally affiliate with a team, and yeah, exactly. You can have your practice players playing in it, right? Which a lot of guys are, they're out, and a lot of the NLL GMs are, work with that, right? And they see the value in it, which is great to see where it's gotten to from when I first started to where now it is. Yeah.
Sure. Let's pivot into you getting into coaching. How did you start? And taking a look, you've worked your way up from Oakville minor all the way through to the point of being a GM in Burlington. How did you get in, and how did you keep moving forward in this?
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I always wanted to do. Again, I owe a lot to my coaches, the people that have helped. So again, giving back was always something that I wanted to do. When I moved back, I started a job at Hub Group. My two bosses, brothers, the O'Neills, Tobico lacrosse guys, but Tom O'Neill, his son was playing minor in Oakville, and he wanted me to coach. So I was like, first off, it's tough. Minor lacrosse is a big commitment. So you need to have, especially when they're younger, I think it was doing Tyke 2 and practices are like 5 to 7, like twice a week. And so you need to have a boss that's on board for sure. So that helped. So that's how I got started in it. I was an assistant coach. And then the next year I was the head coach of the Band of Twos, and that was kind of the idea was to, have them and then win Bantam A's where I was as a player. And that was the first 8 championship that Oakville's ever won. So kind of do a full circle, but again, giving back like my dad had been doing for all this. My mom was always involved on the finance side, whether she's a treasurer or all that, she was involved as well. So, it just felt natural. And again, I owe the sport of lacrosse a lot, of my, help me get my education, my job, everything. Right. So coaching is just a natural, way for help me give back.
Right. Now you work your way up and now you're building a program in Burlington and you hit the pinnacle. I loved the extra moves to get Deacon Knott and a few other people near the end there. That was what put you over, I think. And what a dominating performance. You took an Orangeville team, this had to feel great, who looked like they were going to win it all and put them to the side and won it yourselves. That had to have been like, wow, just like the cherry on the sundae, the entire program. But the year after, you lose a lot of them because they're all graduating. And now you have to rebuild the program. And again, you're back at it. Let's talk about winning the Minto Cup and then about looking for what you're looking for in redevelopment.
Yeah. I mean, when me and Danny came over, we went and coached the Buzz in Junior B and then lost to the Green Gales in Game 5. And my dad had taken over Burlington as the GM. So the next year, me and Dan and Cammy Watts was there as well. He was our D-side goalie coach. So the three of us came over. And I mean, the expectation was always to try to get there and to win, right? That was always, we've never tried to do something and not do that, right? So the first year we were there, we finished 5th, lost to Whitby. And then the next year, we made a historical finish, first in the league, and then made another historical finish, losing to the Beaches. So set 2 records for our organization that year. And then the year after that, 2019, finishing second, a point behind Orangeville. My dad still is GM. We brought in Hutchie and a couple moves that just fell short. So it was never, the one thing was, we won. It was a fluke. We were close, and we just never gotten that. We're not going to get that recognition until we win. But again, we were, 2 years prior, we were freaking first place. We just, we made mistakes in playoffs. And then 2019, we lost to a great Orangeville team. I think it was tough. We had 2 of those games were OT losses, and the other one was a 1-goal game. So again, being so close, but they're better. Some of their better players were better than ours, and they had the Nepean affiliation, gave them some horses. So when COVID happened, my dad stepped back, and then I came into it, and we, again, having to make moves is, bringing the horses in. It takes an army to get it done. You need to have the legs, and also you need to have a lot of things work for you. And I find you give yourself enough chances, for things to happen. And then that's kind of what happened, the year we won. The year before that, I thought we were short a lefty. We lost the Beaches in Game 5 to go to the Minto. And the following year, affiliating with, Nepean. And then losing to Akwesasne was definitely one of those things that was like, okay, that's great. We brought in, and then bringing in a couple. So we brought in all new goalies, right? Brought in Pep, but then obviously bringing Deacon Knott and then TK. And then, a few moves early to help us kind of get over the hump and win some of those games that, those early games help. And, Knock, Deacon Knock, or sorry, Knock, Tasse, Wales, all those, Pro, we brought in a bunch, and we were able to make adjustments in that series against Orangeville that allowed us to kind of keep moving forward. And then we just kept the foot on the gas the whole way. And yeah, it was really great experience, right? Kind of wanted to finish what my dad had started and that we got so close to do. And again, went in with our staff that we have. Again, we're a big believer of, like how all the teams I've been a part of, all my best buddies on the staff, right? And pretty much all of us went to RIT, again, for better, for worse, we all play masters together, and, we hang out a lot, we talk lacrosse a lot. And I think that was a big, reason, able to push us over the top.
Right. But they say you are into rebuilding, because you lose a bunch of them to the NLL, you lose a bunch of them after they've graduated, and you're in that boat again. But now, what are you looking for as a GM to rebuild this program?
Yeah. So, I mean, the year after, I think we lost, I think it was 11 or 12. And then, we lost to St. Kitts. That was a team that I thought we ran out of runway getting there. So again, we tried to go again. Right. So we lost 13 that year as well. So last year coming into it, we used 38, 39 guys this season. So it was a very challenging year with injuries. We had about 8 guys that weren't able to play. Again, whether it was injuries or one or game in, or, so it was, and it was really tough on our affiliates too, where we had to lean on Owen Sound and Hamilton again with so many injuries. I think like I said, as far as rebuilding, this was the first year we ever moved guys. Like, I'm not saying moving more than one guy at a deadline, right? I thought what we brought in was a lot of nice pieces. We finished our last 2 games strong, beating Mimico and then Nations versus a team that needed to win that for second place.
Yeah. And,
so I really like what we got for this year, right? As far as, we got a lot of 3rd, 4th with a couple 5th-year guys. And that's kind of what we wanted to do with it. Again, I didn't like having to move guys. It's not a position I'd like to be in, but I think we've set ourselves up to be very competitive this year and to have a goal. So, got a lot of guys with years, a lot of good talent, and like I said, it takes an army. I figured that out this last year with having to use 38 guys. I think we're set up for success, and we're well prepared to get going in the summer.
What did you learn in Orangeville that helped in Burlington?
Yeah, so the importance of teamwork and camaraderie, and also being able to, like, we had a lot of threats, which was big, right? Again, we had a couple of heavier scores like Adam Jones, and Nobes was just getting going, Jeremy Noble. But again, we had a lot of guys that were all 20, 25 goal scorers, right? And there was a lot of them, right? And that allowed, mitigating risk on that side for your offense to produce, right? Because when you have so many different threats, you play fast. We scored a lot in transition. It allows for your team to, have more opportunity for success. So, yeah, I think that was definitely, something on how we played, but, how they structured, practices, how we structured, the games, right? Things were taken very seriously, right? We had a lot of fun, but when it came down time to work, we worked, right? And if you didn't work, you're gone, right? So that's, that's the whole thing about it. I like to have fun. We like to have a good time with things, but it's when it's time to work, it's time to work. And if you don't want to put the work in, you're just not going to be part of our organization. So, that's, a couple of those core principles were definitely stuff I took away from. And then, we brought in guys from out of town and, billeting and all that. And myself going through that is making sure you're taking care of your guys, and whatever they need, whether it's lacrosse or non-lacrosse related, making that family culture and, so that guys can focus on lacrosse and as best as possible. Again, I'm not perfect, right? We're not perfect, but we're trying to get better each year as an organization, and that's all we can keep doing. So.
Yeah. So when you're talking about players, how to get the players, the organization, it helped to have that experience. And also as a general manager to understand what it takes to have players be happy where they are so that they can be productive. How about the third leg, which is the way the community interacts with the team? Did you learn anything about that and on how to help the folks in Burlington appreciate the team? I don't know if that's an important question, but I'd like to ask it. Yeah,
well, for sure. I mean, the home floor advantage, how you're perceived in a town, and the town support is huge. And that was something for sure that the Money Barn was always, was a big support from our alumni and from the town and the fans. And it's a big part of, we like to ensure that we like to give back to the minors, right? We're involved in the tri-lacrosses. We do some other really cool things with the crossing barriers in Burlington and Oakville. And again, this grassroots stuff, giving back, going in the Santa Claus parade, all that kind of thing. Like, again, it's very important, especially when we're a team funded on sponsorships and community support, right? We need people coming to the rink, and they want to support a good team that's doing things the right way. With the right values, right? So 100%, big believer in getting the town support. And I mean, if you came to the Oven in those playoff series, it was packed. It was packed. I'm glad the mayor wasn't coming because I think we might have been breaking some fire codes. But, even looking at this year, when, again, we had an early exit, but again, our junior C's that we brought in from Brantford, that Nick Krepp was running, and a bunch of old players of mine that were coaching that, and they had a great run, right? They losing in the Ontario finals there to Peterborough, and that arena was packed, and there was a lot of our guys there, our junior A guys, our junior B guys, really making it, showing that support. And vice versa, when we were playing and when we were making our run, we had all the minors there, we had all the, and yeah, whoever it is, we like to show that support and that they return the favor. So big believer in that, and community, and whatever you can do to kind of help, whether it's lacrosse or non-lacrosse related, I think it goes a long way.
But still, one thing we've learned on this program, and I believe Gary and I both agree the same way, is that the more people you have carrying a stick, the more people you have that want to come to watch the big guys play.
100%. And we're very fortunate, again, with our minor numbers in Burlington for our girls program, our women's program, our boys, they're great, right? And that's kudos to our minor organization and all the stuff that they're doing, right? And there's a lot of, it's a laundry list of really talented ex-NLL guys that are in there at Dawson's, Chappie, Greersy, you name it, you go down it. It's quite impressive, the guys that are coaching and have, their families are there and their kids are playing and giving back, and then doing things the right way. And, that was something that was always done in Orangeville, where guys were coming back, and, a lot of the other historic organizations, right? So that grassroots and that, so yeah, it's the more sticks 100%, and the more talented, coaches. I'm like, we're really very fortunate to have that development at the younger age, and we're going to be fortunate, this upcoming, next couple of years, very strong teams in Burlington minor.
Yeah, that community is very in a good position for the interest in the game of lacrosse. You've got the Rock that play in Hamilton. You've got the Rock that have their home base in Oakville. it's getting pretty hot there. I know, being a football guy, how important football is in those same communities. And I can see and believe that you have the same kind of dedication to the game there that they have with the Canadian Football League players that live in the community. Are you aware of that? And is there anything you've learned from that experience to help grow the lacrosse game in Burlington?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can speak. I went down to Ticats game this past season with my dad, and it had been a bit for me. But what an experience, right? The whole, again, I'm not too far, 10 minutes from the stadium, and people really bleed that, right? And as far as what we've tried to link up with Hamilton and Burlington, and again showing that appreciation, that partnership with your affiliates, and what we're trying to do that with Owen Sound now. I think it's very important to recognize and help each other, right, and feed off each other 100%. And yeah, if we can get some Oski Wee Wee guys in the building converted to Blaze fans, I wouldn't be unhappy for sure.
Yeah, with the National Lacrosse League, the one thing that, going back 12, 13, 14 years, the first thing that amazed me about it was how coincidental it was that the CFL would end and lacrosse would begin, and then lacrosse would end and the CFL would begin. And I noticed a lot of, and Gary knows this, lots of Hamilton fans that before, now this is before the Rock moved to Hamilton, were Toronto Rock fans, and they'd come to Toronto to watch the games. So it's no surprise that the team went there and they have the following they do, and also the Toronto fans that have followed them, like Gary, to there as well. And there's all these little dots that start connecting, and your dot's a really important one, because the reason I raised it is that it's the bridge between Oakville and Hamilton. And then you start, you've got Toronto and we know what the East End's like. We know what the West, St. Catharines is like. It's just people who don't know the game of lacrosse don't understand how many hotbeds there are and how connected they are down the highway.
For sure. Or not connected.
Or not connected. Should be, right?
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned lacrossing barriers. Scott's been on the show a few times, on both of my shows. How did you and your wife get involved, first off, with Scott and with lacrossing barriers?
Yeah. So we first met Scott and some of his Calgary athletes out in the Minto in Edmonton. There was a couple of guys, our players, like Will McLeod and them, that they were chatting. Anyways, so that's where we got to meet a bunch of the players and Scott for the first time, and had great conversations with them. We loved the guys. They were rooting for us, which was great. So we kept in contact, and he was coming to Ontario to do kind of a try, like lacrosse, and one of the sessions was at the track, and reached out. He said, "Hey, do you want to help out?" I'm like, "For sure." So we went. A couple of McRae was there, Nicky Krepp, a few other of our guys. Great experience. It was fantastic. I enjoyed it. So then he approached me, "Hey, do you guys want to start a program in Burlington?" And I'm like, let's do it, right? And we got funding from Jumpstart, and that's kind of how it got kicked off. There was starting to be one in Orangeville. Something fell through there, so we ended up extending our program. It was supposed to be 6 weeks, and then we ended up going for 10 weeks. We did it in Burlington, and then the last 4 were at the track. It was, so my wife, not a lacrosse person, she thought it was kind of a cult, probably, it's pretty spot on, I got a stick in her hands, right? And she's great with the kids, and it's a very different thing that I've done, as far as, of coaching and giving back, right? It's a completely different, and I really had a really great time with it. We made some really great connections, with families and kids that were never given an opportunity to play lacrosse. And, I got, again, a lot of the people helping out with my staff, right? Like, so, I went to Bobby Brown, Curbs, Nick, the crappies, you name it. It was great. And there was a bunch of other guys that, one of my other coworkers, Julian Gay, who played with me at Burlington. A lot of, and it was great. It was so easy just to have guys come out and help out. And then we did it. We had some NLL guys come, a bunch of the rock guys, and
Yep.
It was just a really great experience. And now it's kind of, as we get into that world, we've got connected with like Variety Village, Archie down there, and what a fantastic program they have in the beaches, and ran a session there. Me and my wife did the Lieutenant Governor games. So I met the Lieutenant Governor, and it was the first time lacrosse was at this, and, meeting all these other groups like, it was that are, doing these all abilities sports and all that. Right. And so, yeah, it's been cool. We've gone up to North Bay, did one at Candor College in the spring here too, and now we've got connected with Autism Ontario. So this past winter, or this past program we did at the track, we had one for our open group, and then after we did one with Autism Ontario. And, it's just been, it's been fantastic. We end everyone with a rock game. So that's where I saw you there this year. So we bring it the year before it was when we were playing they were playing Rochester. So my brother and my family were there, and then we do a game in the summer, a Blaze game. And, so we do a lacrosse and barriers night, and, it's been fantastic.
I'm still open for doing the anthem for you. So anytime. I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you to that for sure. It's been great. Expanding different programs. We're doing our next one in Burlington in 3 weeks, and then we'll do another one at the track in January. Right.
We're getting connected with a lot, and Lynette that runs the minor lacrosse in Milton. Working with her group homes, and so it's such a range of people we've been connected to, all ages, and it's been great. But lacrosse, and again, we do skills and drills, but we do fun games, and it's just a really great. It's been really refreshing, as far as there's no hidden agendas, there's no we're just out there having a good time with sticks in our hands, and just really makes you value what lacrosse is really about. There's no politics, there's no bullshit.
Right.
It's just, let's have some fun, and see how many times I can get hit with a ball, but
Nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
How can viewers get involved, support what you're doing?
Yeah. So, reaching out to Scott, he helps facilitate, and then when there's different programs in Ontario, he kind of brings me in, but to drop Scott's info would be the, or you can reach out to me directly as well. Right. And I got no problem putting my contact info
Sure.
out. So yeah, that's no problem, but yeah, happy to have a conversation, a call. If anyone that wants to get involved, there's new programs that are coming in across Ontario. So it's not just in, Burlington, Oakville area. There's a lot of new ones that are on the horizon here. And then across the country as well. So yeah, I'm just a small cog in the wheel, just trying to, help out where I can, but it's really cool what Scott is spearheading. Just really fortunate that I'm able to, be a part of that and share that with my wife.
Absolutely. Well, just keep us in a loop, and we will help promote it for you as well. So this brings us over to scouting. You originally did some scouting for Colorado as an Eastern scout for the NLL. You were just named Director of Scouting and Player Development with the Ottawa Black Bears. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Talk about what goes in what you're looking for scouting for NLL, but B, now you're looking at player development also, and you're the director, you're the head guy of this thing. How did this come about?
Yeah, so I got involved with Colorado 2 seasons ago, right around Christmas time. So I got Danny going, Craig going as D coach. Again, we're kind of attached at the hip. So, I appreciate him kind of, helping start that. And, I started talking with Selfer there, and, I can't say enough about that organization. a lot of it was unknown to me. Like, again, I didn't play in the league. It's just the next level of like player prospects, you name it, that all those processes, right? So Brad was just can't say enough about the organization, taking the time to, help me develop, let me ask questions, that whole group there. And obviously their coaching staff and Brighter, and so it was a really cool to be a part of. And then last year getting into the first draft, and it's really helped me develop as a GM, and I've taken a lot of it back to Burlington, and just that next step, right? Very professional, different way of doing things. I had really enjoyed that. So, I really appreciate that time I had there. And then obviously when Dan got the opportunity there with Ottawa, again, attached at the hip. But yeah, no. So my dad coming back as assistant GM. It's kind of the old band getting back together.
Right.
My dad gave Danny and me the opportunity when we first got into the league, coaching junior A. So that's kind of where it's been looking great so far. Really great to work with my dad again on that aspect. I learned a lot from him, and I continue to. Not just in GMing, but a lot of how he handles himself and all that, right? So it's just it's really getting to do that with my best buddy and my dad. Again, it's great. It's great. So really looking forward to this opportunity. We're it's a great staff. And a lot of old Burlington guys there. So the colors look great too. So yeah,
absolutely. One of the things I was curious about is bringing back more to the grassroots of lacrosse and development there in Ottawa and in surrounding areas.
Yeah, so that's definitely a part of the, a part of what we want to do for sure. And again, Nepean, and there's they've had there's some really great parts there, and that's something that we want to definitely lean on and help where we can. And it's definitely helping out with engaging more with the minor program, and I had the relationship with Firth and Tassie when they're two guys that are heavily involved in that minor area. And it's definitely a focus of ours, having that local support, having that development, and it's already well on its way, right, which is great to see. But it's definitely going to be one of our focuses to help. How can we improve it? How can we get more aligned with the community and grow on that end?
Right. Looking back at lacrosse in general in your life, what do you think is the biggest lesson that you've gotten from your journey?
Ooh, you didn't prep me for that one.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just kind of snuck it in there.
Yeah, family. The biggest thing is the relationships. What the sport does and bringing people together, and helping people out, like in so many different aspects of their life. It's helped keep me guided, and again, it's opened the doors up since I was a kid to, new opportunities, education, again, my jobs, you name it, right? My family, the sport's given so much, and I think the sport can give so much to people, and it doesn't need to be just on the floor. All the people, like lacrosse is so much bigger than just the players, guys like yourself and guys like, it's such a great community. And that's the biggest thing that's taught me is, just to, do things the right way, surround yourself with good people and good things happen. And it's not always about winning either. And that's a hard one, and Lacrosse and Barriers is something that's kind of helped reset that for me, where it's just not about winning. And, there's so many good stories, and these guys that we've gotten privileged that still call me coach, and these guys are, 25, 26 now, and helping guys get down to school and helping guys, get to that next level. even though we didn't, win this summer, it's like, well, it was really cool. Our draft, we had a lot of guys up there, from our programs, and there's a lot of ways to win other than the scoreboard. That's probably another thing. There's a lot of things to be proud of. So yeah, hopefully that answered it.
Absolutely. Are you enthused with, I know you've gone out to the Rubeski tournament with me, with the Gales. Are you enthused about what you're seeing European-wise and all these teams? Because every year I go out there, and I've been doing it for a number of years now, every year it's elevated itself more and more and more. And getting a relationship with the NBLL commissioner, Adam Serpon, I get a bigger idea that they have an 80-game season. They have an all-star game. They have all these things that they're doing to really try and elevate and bring them that North America starts noticing, kind of like hockey. We're a little bit behind that way, but it's in that direction.
Yeah. So, that was a bucket list thing for me, and getting involved, Jeff Dowling's brought me in with Ireland, and that's just been such a cool experience, and getting the opportunity to go over there and coach, which allowed me to then play in that with the Gales. It was a great experience. Yeah. Some of those European teams, we've brought two over, right? We have two players that came over 3 years ago that were playing in our junior C league. And then Christoph, who played one game with us that year. And then last year they were playing junior B, and Christoph played a couple games with us, and, looking forward to develop those guys. And yeah, I mean, they've been playing against men their whole way, right? Like that's how and so they're like, those Czech players are freaking tough. They're very physical. You got to keep your head on a swivel for sure, because again, how they play is a little different too, right? Again, but it's aggressive, and getting to play in that with guys from all around the world, and what a top-notch event, right? I know we got to spend a lot of time together, and again, winning it for sure. But again, the experience, seeing past teammates and guys, and then meeting so many new people. I got to have dinner with Andra, the Czech goalie that we have over his parents, right? And have a beer. And like, how cool is that? I'm freaking sitting in Prague, and I'm meeting the family that they had sent over, or halfway around the world. It's just, that's awesome. So yeah, I think the development there is going to be taken off. I think you'll see more guys try to come here and play. But yeah, for sure. And then again, the Worlds in Utica, like just seeing the development of the game across the globe, and the women's part too. I was like, that was the compete level. It was really good. And again, I didn't have any expectations. Not that they weren't bad or anything like that. I was just like, wow, seeing the box game. And again, I'm a lot heavily weighted box over field. So seeing the box game grow across the globe, but also in the women's side is great, right? So what a cool, like, again, we're looking forward to going back to Prague for Euros with Ireland, so really appreciative of Jeff, and that team, so really it's great. It's great getting involved in the world stage. So yeah, and then being able to play in that tournament was, well, what a treat. And I don't know if I'll be able to ever go play it again, I don't know, but I'm definitely looking forward to going back and coaching for sure.
Absolutely. And never say never.
That's it. Yeah. There'll still be time for one more comeback, maybe. Who knows?
I think so. We had so much fun, might as well keep doing it. We'll find a way. Finally, advice for young kids who are trying to get up there and chase their dreams.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's not a sprint. It takes time. Sometimes it does. Guys don't figure it out. Again, you just want to put yourself in a situation where, you're having fun with it, and that you like the group, you like what you're doing, again, sometimes guys get discouraged when they don't get results right away. Guys over the years, I've seen guys now, oh, I should have been playing junior A. They don't go, or, they don't, try to respect the process and ask as many questions, but just don't be discouraged if things don't work out the first time. There's a lot of stories. And I've had these conversations with, we do talks with our guys coming out of midget and all of that. Ryan Smith's story, again, one of the best guys I've ever got to coach, very fortunate I got to coach him. I had him in B and then 2 years in A, but he started in junior C, right? Again, it's and there's a lot of guys in that story. Bush did the same thing, there's guys that have stuck with it. And then there's guys that, that have only played B and then end up making it. So, don't be discouraged if you're not making D1 or you're not the guy, if you put the work in and if that's what you want to do, then, keep pushing on, right? Don't be discouraged. So that's pretty much the message. And just keep playing too, right? Again, it's not all about playing on that top team, or I've had a lot of great experiences, with every different level, so like I said, just keep playing.
Right. Well, Sean, it's been a pleasure having you on. Just your journey from player to leader, now someone who's helping to grow the sport at every level, just really captures what makes lacrosse so special. Thanks for everything you've done for the game and for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Gary. It's always a pleasure to chat, so looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely, and don't forget, I'm in for the anthems with you.
Love it. All right, thanks again, sir.
Thank you, and remember, check in with us every Thursday at 4 p.m. for NLL Lacrosse Talk, seen live here and on Stream Punk Entertainment Network. Until next week, guys, have a great week. Remember, keep your sticks high, keep your spirits higher. Take care.
That's good.